Hey everyone, Austin Schneider here. Welcome to Rise Podcast, where we talk about real influence, self-development, and entrepreneurship. What's up everyone? Welcome to another episode of Rise Podcast. Super stoked today because we got Neel Dhingra in the house, in the flesh. Neel is a real estate investor, market enthusiast, mortgage banker, crushes it on content. If you're not following Neel on Instagram, do yourself a favor and check him out. What's up, Neel?
Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, stoked to be on.
Yeah. It's like we've been connected through social for, I think, a couple of years, maybe a year, 18 months or so. And we got to meet at an event for the first time. And it's like the same thing you always talk about. Like, you're just, you're just already friends. Like, it's super comfortable. Yeah. I always say it's like, I always feel super comfortable if I could just sit with someone and not talk and not feel awkward. Yeah. So like yesterday we're driving, and I'm doing something, and you're thinking about something, like you can just be quiet and not feel weird.
There's no obligation to...
Yeah, it's like if you have something to say it. If not, we're just cool. Yeah. That's what I like.
Well, welcome up, man. You are up here, you're gonna give a killer event at Caliber Homes Kirkland about video, about content. Maybe give the listeners or viewers, if they've never heard of you, just a quick little background on who you are.
So I am actually a content creator first, like digital creator first. And I say that because I'm in the mortgage business, I'm in the real estate business, but like without attention, my business would have flatlined, if not declined. So that's a lot of the things I talk about now is like, you could be the best lender, you could be the best realtor or whatever, but if you don't have attention first, like, you know, you're missing a huge opportunity right now. So that's my primary goal every day is to, you know, market myself, market my team, market my brand, and then after that, we provide amazing, you know, client experience. We provide great service. We do all these great things on the mortgage side, but my main goal is to build, you know, the brand and help my teammates do the same thing.
Yeah. And you've been in the business for 15 years.
Yep.
And when you say that you leverage attention, I mean you've been in the business for 15 years, and just recently you quadrupled your income. So like from content, you're accrediting it mostly from content.
Yeah. So like 2018, you know, coming up into 2018, I was just kind of flatlined, burnt out. Yeah. Those of us in the real estate mortgage industry, there was a little bit of a lull in 2018. Mm-hmm. The market slowed down because interest rates were high, and I was just contemplating like, dude, I'm kind of burnt out on this. I'm tired of chasing clients. I was doing a lot of outbound, like buying leads and reaching out, you know, to people, internet leads, stuff like that. And it just got to be a grind because the people weren't valuing me. I was just another vendor.
Transaction.
Yeah, just super transactional, right? So I was like, I feel like I'm running on a treadmill. Second I stop, my business stops. Yeah. And you just get tired of that. After a decade or more of doing that, you're like, fuck, man, this is tough. Yeah. So what I decided, I was just watching content, scrolling Instagram, and I was just the guy who always consumed, never even had didn't even really have an account. Yeah. Like was just on there, just looking at other people's stuff. And came across guys like Gary Vee and, you know, other entrepreneurs who are putting out content and really pushing like, dude, you have to do this. And then I don't know what it was, like one of the posts just clicked. Mm-hmm. You know, you hear the same things over and over, and then one time it catches you right place, right time. Yeah. It's like 1 a.m, and you're just like, dude, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm gonna start, you know, what's different about me? So I just started putting out videos, horrible, like cringe-worthy, hired a videographer who I still work with today. And we just started doing videos, and then slowly it got better. Like there's no secret really other than we just kept trying to improve. Yeah. But in that first year from 2018 to 2019, I got a 4x increase in my business. Crazy. And that was a flat market. Yeah. Like market really hadn't taken off. 2019 to 2020 more than doubled it again. Crazy. So if I look at the trajectory of like income of like, you know, netting around 300 something thousand in 2018, and then in 2020 netting just under $3 million, like that's a 10x increase in 2 years. And then 2021 is looking even better. So the reason why I say that is not to flex, because I know there's people in the mortgage industry making double what I make. Sure. Yeah. I mean, people are crushing it right now. But the point is to say to the guy who's 6 figures right now, there's a path to 7 figures, and it's by thinking about growth, exponential growth, not just linear growth. You know, trying to get your next client. No, let's try and get our next 10 or next 100 clients.
Sure. So when you say content creation and like posting, like people would hear that and be like, okay, like let me just post a bunch of like random stuff. Let me just let me just do what I'm doing all day. Let me dance in front of the camera. What is the content that actually converts into real life business? Because there's so many skeptics out there right now who are like, I just need to post video and I'll get business, and then I post for a month or so and then nothing happens. Like, what kind of content have you seen work really well in your business from actually getting business done?
Yeah, I think that this is probably one of the reasons why people quit doing this, is because they don't get any traction. So then they quit. Like, why would you want to keep doing it? It's not working.
Yeah.
So what I found was, I was starting to get a little bit of traction with informational videos, but then stuck.
Yeah.
So I noticed the game has changed a little bit in the last year, where you have to be really intentional. So we used to do videos like this, long form content, chop it up, and then put it into short form content. That is still a great strategy, but it's less effective today than it was before. So for social media, you have to speak directly to the viewer. So like, I'm gonna tell you something today, and I'm gonna show you behind the scenes of my stories, and I'm gonna do long form content on YouTube and Facebook. But like, the point is, with the short form content on social media, like Instagram primarily, it doesn't work unless you have a good hook, unless you're starting and you're like actually going to provide value to the viewer.
Yeah.
And what I found is, like, the algorithm has just gotten tougher.
Yeah.
So maybe that means the algorithm's actually gotten better, because there's so many users, so many ads, so much noise coming at us. So it's just, like I used to say a couple of years ago, just get on, do video. Like, that's not enough anymore. We have to do the right kind of video. We have to do intentional video. Like, we need to like think about what would be most valuable to your target audience, and then put out, list those topics. And then also, how can we make those topics better? Like, I recently started using Twitter. I was never a Twitter user. And Twitter, like, you have no video, you only have your words, and you only have a limited amount of words. So I would write something and it would just bomb. Like, no love. Like, Twitter's a kind of crazy platform. You can post and get 0 likes. Like, at least on IG, you'll get like your sister, or like you get like somebody likes your shit. On Twitter, you get literally nothing. Yeah. And so it's like, how do you get traction on Twitter? You have to become a good copywriter. Yeah. So it kind of taught me how to write in a short form, like, get to the point quickly, take out all the fluff, write a good starting line, and then that's how I started to get more traction. Yeah. So I think like people just need to up the game a little bit, just improve your content.
Yeah. Put some more thought into it.
Exactly.
Because I mean, like what you said, even before video was so popular and video is such a big platform, it's like you could say, hey, I'm Austin with Braintegic. Today we're going to talk about da 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 da. And then like in today's age, if you do that, I'm scrolling to the next. I saw a stat that people watch 14 TikToks in like a minute.
Yeah, in 1 minute.
This is crazy. People are scrolling.
We went from like 30 seconds to 8 seconds of attention to 5 now. I think on IG in short form, you're in 3 seconds or less. I mean, on TikTok, you're in 1 to 2 seconds. So it's not like, hey, this is Neel, I'm here with Austin, we're gonna tell you. That's for YouTube, that's fine. Because people are there to watch long form. But for Instagram or TikTok, you would be like, today we're gonna tell you the top 2 things that are gonna double your business, or the top 2 ways to use social to double your business next year. Like, oh shit, okay.
And if I wanna double my business, that stops me from scrolling.
Exactly, so the whole goal is like, this is the thumb, we wanna just pause enough for someone to be like, oh shit, these guys are actually talking to me. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna tell you the top ways to do this. Or I'm gonna tell you the biggest mistake, I'm gonna tell you the biggest opportunity I see in the market today. Yeah. Like, whoa, what's that? I'm not even in the market and I might wanna save that. And I've noticed, me and Eric were talking this morning, we looked at the analytics on posts. The posts that are doing the best for us are ones that people are saving. So it's like they watch it and they're like, that's valuable enough for me to like put in my pocket. Now they may never come back to it, but the whole thing was like, they actually went in, hit save, and they're like, that is something I'm gonna share or save for the future.
No doubt. I think from a consumer perspective, if I have a business, I'm listening to this or I'm watching this, it's like, that will start to attract and magnetize the clients to you. If you're talking about finance tips, refinancing, mortgage, content creation, you're gonna start attracting people that are interested in that, and you're gonna build a tribe, you're gonna build an online community, and you're gonna build business from it, because they're gonna see you as the trusted resource, you as it. So less of the fluffy content, more of the stop you in the tracks, talk to your target audience, and that's how you're gonna magnetize people.
Yeah, and like people would make these slick montages and like cool things. Like, these are cool. I like making those videos, but the thing is, like, for the viewer, they don't care anymore.
For sure.
So like, there's a lot of stuff where people used to just flex. We were talking about this last night. Like, there's a guy we know who's a billionaire, and he's trying to build an audience because he doesn't have one. And just saying I'm a billionaire and I have a Rolls Royce, like, follow me, like, that doesn't matter anymore. The viewer's like, okay, keep going. Like, people have just become numb you can't shock anybody. I mean, think about what we just went through with like pandemic. There's literally like people dying. There's just, you know, news. I mean, I call it like panic porn almost. The news is like trying to panic you every day. So as a result, you become numb to like all the shit coming at you. So to stand out, there's really no other way of like, what's in this for me?
For sure.
And then as you build an audience, then when you do those kind of like pieces where you talk about the story personally or like inspiring content, like the audience connects with it because they've been following you along. You have that relationship. So you can do more types of content as you build. But if you're in build mode and you're starting at like 500 follows and you want to actually get results, you have to be super intentional.
Yeah, no doubt. So what's an example of like a hook? Like what, so if I'm listening to this, I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start to do videos and I know that I need to do a hook. What are some examples of a hook and then what follows? Like what's
so we think of like a hook and the hook is kind of like a problem or some issue and then the solution is gonna be the rest of the video. So if we, like what's a topic we could think of? You know, we just did it like, how do you really use social to double your business, right? We need to speak to one viewer and we need to be intentional with the content. So we would say like, you know, today I'm gonna give you or you wouldn't even say today, like I always start and then I dumb it down. So I would say, these are the top 2 ways to use social media in 2022 to double your business. Number 1, you need to speak to one viewer, and then I would start that, right? And just go straight into it. They already see your name, they already see your stuff, and then you'll find that video gets traction. And then you can do little things like, I did a test recently where I just posted an informational video. I forgot to put the music on it in the background, just pick an instrumental song and play it in the background. So a month later, I was like, that video I think would have done better. And that video got like 40,000 views. I posted the exact same video with music in the background, did over 200,000 views. Crazy. Just by playing music. So there's little things that keep people's attention. You know what I mean? Like even the way the reels are edited, like, you know, it's just me talking to the camera, but they might zoom in and zoom out. And those little subtle things keep a viewer's attention. So first step is like write better content, get a good hook. That's the beginning part. Next step would be like, let's think of ways to enhance the video. Cuts, music, things like that.
For sure. So good. What do you think is stopping most people from doing content? Because I mean, it's so apparent, like success is like leaves clues, and if the clue is video marketing, content creation, being intentional, why isn't everybody doing it?
Well, the market's just amazing for many industries right now, so there's no consequence to not doing it. So like you're in real estate, you're in mortgage, you're in finance, insurance. We've just had a 10-year kind of bull run. Everyone's a genius in a bull market, like we're making money, as long as you're in the right space, you're doing well. You just don't know what you're missing. Like we talked about this the other day, people don't call you and say, dude, I went with somebody else. It just happens. But you have so much business that you're like, I don't really notice or care. As we head into like a more flat market, I don't think markets are gonna collapse or anything, but as we head into just a normal market with a lot of noise, you'll need to do this. And then you know, at that point it's kind of difficult. So I think you should, as a business leader or someone trying to be relevant, like you would want to pivot before that happens. So that's one way. Another reason why people don't do it is we did a survey of 200 people and they said that they cannot think of engaging content topics. So the solution for that is literally just listing out all of these problems, going to Google Trends, going to Answer the Public, look at what people are searching about your industry or your topics, and then take those kind of pillar topics and make them into engaging. Like we talked about at my event the other day, there was a guy in the mortgage industry, and one of the topics he selected was, should I get a 30-year or a 15-year mortgage? And I'm thinking like, this is dead. Like if I came on camera and it's like, hey, this is Neel. Today we're gonna talk about the difference between a 15-year and a 30-year mortgage. It's gonna be like dead. Like nobody cares. They're just gonna keep scrolling. So how could we make this boring topic engaging? So here's what I did. I was like, I'm just thinking, and I'm like, do you wanna hear some horrible advice? Dave Ramsey says you should only buy a property using a 15-year mortgage. The 15-year mortgage has almost 40% higher of a payment compared to a 30-year mortgage. This would actually exclude you from buying a property in many cases. So for most people, the best thing is going to be to get a standard 30-year fixed mortgage. This is perfectly acceptable, and the majority of people got into home ownership or whatever. Like you can dumb that down, but basically it's like the hook is, do you want to hear some horrible advice? Like, no doubt. What's up? Rather than 30-year, 15-year, pros and cons. Like, so we just have to you can take boring content. A lot of people's complaint is my industry is boring. But it doesn't have to be boring.
Yeah.
Let's just make it more engaging. Because the topics are important, it's just we need to present them in the right way.
Yeah. Get present, write a bunch of questions down, and then figure out how to make it actually engaging versus like, here's why you should buy a house.
Yeah, and if you're funny, maybe you can make jokes.
For
I'm
sure.
not like a comedian guy, like I'm not a performer. So then what I do is try and make it more intellectually like appealing. So then I'll think of a better way to write it. But I mean, some people make funny shit. I mean, anything where you could attach emotion. We just saw Jim Quick speak, and he said content is more memorable if it's tied to emotion. So if we can kind of like get some kind of emotion going, you're gonna remember it.
So how are you backtracking content to business? Is it people are like, wow, I'm watching your videos? Is it like, hey, I've been following you for 6 months? Hey, you're like DMing people, or like what is the actual?
So the way it works for me is, yes, people DM you eventually, just direct, like, yo, been watching your videos, can you help me with X? That's awesome, and you could track that because that's a direct result. It's usually not the result of one video. It's usually accumulation. So that's one way. Another way is if you're in a business where you could have business partners refer you business, you just get more referrals. Like, I've been watching your stuff, I'm gonna refer you. So that's a direct correlation. Another way is you wanna meet with people who could potentially refer you. How you connect with them is social. So for example, if I wanted to connect with you, it'd be hard for me to just cold call you. You would think of me as a salesperson. But if we've seen each other's content or you've seen my content and then I DM you, it's gonna be almost like a lukewarm conversation. So you can leverage content. I think a lot of people forget that, like, this is the way to get the meeting. Putting out the content was so that people feel comfortable with you, but you still need to get the meetings. So now you just have to reach out to more people. It's gonna be way easier. People are gonna say yes almost every time if you have good content because they vet you first. They're like, oh, this guy's legit. Yes, I would love to meet with you. Let's grab coffee. This isn't gonna be weird. Like a lot of times I don't wanna meet with someone because I'm like, is this gonna be a waste of my time? Or is the guy or girl gonna be weird? And then I'm gonna be in an awkward situation. So you take away both of those by just having a strong digital footprint.
For sure. I think that's a big miss on a lot of people is they're not, like they're posting, they're just kind of letting it like happen, but they're not using it to source potential business partners, to social sell, to engage with people, to fire emoji people's stories, to warm them up, to actually set them up for a meeting, for a piece of business. It's like, that's what I'm doing a majority of my time. It's just like traditionally how people are gonna email you, cold email, cold call. It's like, do the same thing on Instagram where people are spending 3 hours a day, engaged.
Yeah, it's hard, like they're there and the time in app is going up. People are just spending more time. So if I message you that we could offer your company or we could offer you something cool, like let's talk about it, and you come to my page and I don't have anything there, I haven't posted, and it's like, or even if it's public and last post was a year ago, like it's a weird profile pic, like your digital handshake is weak. It's terrible. You're just gonna be like, I don't know who's, but conversely, you come to my page, it clearly shows who I am, it shows what I do, it shows how I help people, and there's a bunch of content. And you don't have to have a huge amount of followers, you don't have to have a ton of views, but like there's valuable content there, it's on point, it's on your brand, people can quickly vet you. So what I found is I'm shocked today that someone comes to your page, within 1 minute and 30 seconds, they have vetted you.
No doubt.
Done. Like it would have taken me months to do what I could do in a minute.
For sure.
So when people are like, I don't have time, dude, this saves you a massive amount of time. Like it's huge. Like it's, if you could just vet me in a minute,
for sure.
Why wouldn't, you know? So I think the problem is people start reaching out without having this first.
For sure.
So you want to do this first, then don't forget to leverage it.
No doubt. Actually reach out to people, actually social sell.
Exactly. Like just leverage it, and then actually in your emails, people always put the icons to social media. No, like drive them to it with a specific call to action. Connect with me on Instagram here. Don't just put the icon, because the icon it's become glossed over now. It's in everybody's signature. They don't even know that you can click on it many times. So I'm putting that in every single email. Connect with me on Instagram. Check out my series on YouTube. Check out my stuff here. Let's connect on LinkedIn. So now people are like vetting you 50% of the time, because I use my CRM to send the emails out. 50% of the time people are going to look at it. Like, who is this guy? What's he about? And then you get on the call, and it's like the best feeling when someone's like, dude, I watched your stuff. Awesome. You know you've won. For sure. They're not considering 12 people anymore, they're with you.
No doubt. So one thing with you, Neel, is that I feel like you are a master networker, and I feel like you've really been able to leverage social in order to network with people. I mean, interviewing with Gary Vee, getting in circles with like Brad Lee, Alberts, like you seem to be everywhere.
Yeah.
What are some tips for listeners or viewers to actually get in the same room with these people and to start being on like a text basis with some of these high level people that you can grow from?
So I think it's seeing opportunities, capturing them quickly, and then leveraging them to get more opportunities. So for example, with the Gary Vee thing, every once in a while Gary Vee is promoting a product. In the beginning when I used to follow him, he used to have sneakers every year with K-Swiss. Then he started a wine company. Then he started, now he's in NFTs, right? And you'll notice that every point he launches a product, there's a push, like even with book sales back in the day, there's a push for his product. And he'll throw it subtly in his stories where he'll be like, yo, if you do this, you have an access point to me. He gives access. That's one of the ways he's leveraged his brand. So at some point along the way, he was speaking at a conference and he was like, it's going to be in Las Vegas, he's going to speak at a conference. And he's like, yo, I'm going to be launching this wine thing. If anybody wants to buy a lot of wine, like bulk order, I'll barter with you. So I was like, oh shit, I want to buy wine. And then I could, if you're going to be at this conference, I could try and get a podcast with you. So I emailed the team. I was like, yo, I want to buy like $5,000 worth of wine. Would love to get a quick podcast with Gary. And the team responds. They're like, minimum request would be $50,000. And Gary Vee's time is valued at over 100K an hour for a keynote. It's like, so we can't just do this for 5K. Like, we're sorry, peace out. And I was like, so I replied to that email and I was like, yeah, so sorry, I was just trying to get I didn't even want a half hour, an hour. I was thinking maybe 5 or 10 minutes, quick podcast. He's already going to be there, so there's no friction. And I guess the most I'd be willing to do is like 10K, but thanks for the opportunity. And I added on the CC line, Gary at VaynerMedia.com. And then on a Sunday, like, I think it was like one in the weird hour, like super late or super early, I can't remember. I get a response from Gary. And it's one line, I'm in for 15 minutes.
Dang.
That's all it said.
When was it, 15 minutes?
No, so when we sat down to do the podcast, he talked to us for over an hour.
Dang.
Because he's just a good dude. So now I've gotten this opportunity, right? How to get the opportunity, a little bit of luck, but actually asking.
For sure.
I think it was the right place, right time. But if you don't ask, you don't get. So just ask, do it in the right way. But there's something in it for them, obviously, because you're buying. And someone might say, well, $10,000 for a few minutes of Gary Vee, that's a waste of money. No way, dude. Like, I got value from the meeting, and then the leverage is the next part, right? So now I want to get the next guy. Hey, I just did a podcast with Gary Vee. Would you like, I would love to interview you. Recent guests include Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, leverage the shit out of it. Micro content, get the leverage that you can. But the point also is, like, one meeting with him, I was like, this is going to blow up. I'm going to get huge followers. It's going to be amazing. But back to our earlier point, audience doesn't care. What's in it for me? So you get a bunch of hearts and a bunch of high fives, and it's dead in 24 hours, like maybe even less. Like all that build up, this huge thing that you think is going to blow your brand up, and the next day you're back to zero. So how you leverage it on an ongoing basis is more important, not just like, if I got to interview with something super crazy, like nobody will care. After a few minutes, they're on to the next thing.
For sure.
So what we do next is like leverage that to get more people. Now, opportunities will come up with like Brad Lee or Billie Jean I've worked with, Tom Ferry, all these guys. And it was just like trying to get in front of them, leaving genuine comments on their content so they see your name over and over, tagging them in a post or tagging them, making something about them.
For sure.
Creating a piece of content for them and sending it to them, right? Like just trying to speak at different events. For example, there was this huge event I got to speak at where, same thing, like I bought a few tickets, the most expensive tickets, also gave some credibility, connected, and then asked if I could speak, and here's the value that I provide. And then now they see you have a track record, like, yeah, sure, we'll give you an opportunity, and you're not just like asking, you're like, you're buying their product.
For sure.
And that's how you get their attention with a lot of these guys.
I think the two things is, like, it's either going to cost you money to get in these circles, or it's going to cost you adding a lot of value. And you did the thing with Gary Vee where you like provided value with interviewing him, whatever, and then also buying something that you cared about and then investing the money. Yeah. It's that's what we do with the podcast too. It's like, how do I provide value to you from a podcast perspective? Yeah, exactly.
Because you're no audience, you're just starting. How can I provide value to this influencer? 100%. Well, you could buy their shit.
Yeah.
That's one way to get their attention. The next thing is you could be a good person and like connect with all their, people that know them. So it's not just about them, it's about people who know them. Sure. So for example, right now there's a conference going on in Vegas that I would love to speak at because I know it'd be amazing to connect with all the people there. Yeah. So I just got to speak at one. Yeah. I have this track record of knowing A, B, and C. Yeah. The guy who's putting on this event knows all these people. I don't know him. Yeah. So I've just found his email somehow. Yeah. And that if you can find people's emails. Yeah. And I'm emailing him and being like, yo, would love to bring my team to your event. We're all gonna buy tickets. I'll buy them in bulk. I want to support your event. Mm-hmm. Next, I would love to speak for like 10, 15 minutes. Here's the topic and here's how it would help the audience. Because I'm just where they were recently. Yeah. And it's kind of like, I'm like a good example for what you can do quickly. Because the guys on stage are super far away from where their viewers at. Sure, so this could be like a link. And the feedback's been great. Here's an event I recently spoke at. Here's a picture with me with this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Like, so I'm not weird. For sure. So I'm trying to get this dude's attention. He may not read that email. So my next step is find out the dude's office, not creepy, but like find out where his thing, send a gift to the office with the same thing I just said in like paper form. Nice. I mean like, yo, I'm trying to get your attention. I sent this to your email, not sure if you saw it, but here's what I'm trying to do, send it. I mean, you could think of any ways to get attention.
Yeah, it takes work, creativity.
Yeah, and like you're literally just asking, but you're asking in a unique way. Yeah. That's it.
With being around these people, kind of pivoting to like success and like, because these people are pretty, like those, like Billie Jean and like the Brad Lees and whatever, Gary V's, what, like based off of interviewing them and seeing them, what are you discerning that makes them so different than maybe myself or Jimmy or even yourself?
The biggest thing is they understand how to scale, right? So they have teams of people that help them ramp up whatever they're doing. Yeah. So when I met Gary, he's got like 15 people on his content just for his personal brand, just for @GaryVee. Yeah. That's not even VaynerMedia. Like that's just team. They call it Team Gary. Yeah. There's a cartoonist. There's a copywriter. There's a guy for Snapchat. There's a guy for this. There's a guy for Twitter. Like all these things, and it's him doing a lot of it. But it's like people can amplify it. With you need help. So there's that. The other thing I noticed with a lot of these guys is like they do a lot of unscalable things. So like you would think they're trying to scale, they don't have time for shit. Like they do things, they'll spend time, but they're just selective on who they spend time with. So, Gary doing a podcast with an unknown dude for 10K, like that's not the best use of his time. But then I'm out there promoting the shit out of it. The goodwill that he builds from that, like other people want to follow him because they see like there's an opportunity for him to talk to everyday people. So that's cool. Like it just kind of all works together. They just really understand how to think bigger, like leverage people the right way. And then like now you start thinking like, oh, the goals I had, these are nothing. Like the ceiling just gets blown. And you're like, dude, I need to think way bigger because here's what's possible. Other thing I noticed with a lot of these people that I meet is they're no different than you or me. 100%. And sometimes you'll meet people and you're like, dude, I'm more organized than this people. Like this guy right here, his business is kind of weird and he's still super successful. Or I met a dude who has a hugely successful business and I almost felt like he wasn't very bright when I met him. Like he was kind of dumb. And I was like, oh shit. So it's not about IQ. It's about just doing. And like there are people who are dumber than you or me that are doing way better than us because they just had the courage to do and not be scared about like, is this gonna work? They really just, I think there's just their relationship with risk is different than the average person. They don't care about risk.
It's infectious. That's probably, would you credit that to some of your like growth mindedness and kind of like going on to the next step?
Yeah, I think like you just start to not care about failing. Totally. That was probably a big takeaway is like, let's try this. It's gonna cost this, it's gonna take this much time. What if it doesn't work? Well, fuck, we'll move on to something else. We got all these balls in the air. Some of them are going to work, some of them we're going to drop a few.
Yeah. I think so many people see the successes of people, but they don't necessarily see the failures. But I think about like big companies, even like a Google. It's like those glasses that they had a while ago. Yeah. That's a failure. Like they've launched so many horrible products.
So many.
But the people are only like, oh, they're so successful because they do all this ads and blah blah blah. Even people, it's like, oh, they're so successful overnight, blah 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 blah. But it's like, no, they're constantly failing to get to one thing to pop.
I mean, how many things have you tried in your agency that have failed?
So many.
But like that was your tuition. That's how you learn. You know what I mean? So people they think that that's risky.
Yeah.
The risk is doing nothing.
For sure.
Like the risk is just being scared of all that, and then you're stuck for a decade or more, and then then you have regret, like, oh, I should have taken those chances.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even that risky. Like to me, maybe I'm getting a little bit too aggressive with risk, but now it's like, what happens if everything fails and I lost all my money?
Yeah.
Well, you just figure out a way to make more money. Like you could pivot. What if your industry went to shit?
Yeah.
You could try something else. Like the risk is people have like way less resources than you or me. And there's certain people that they're going to lay it all out there and get way further than you and me because they don't care about the risk.
For sure. I think the risk also goes down to not caring what people think.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like,
or you don't want to fail in public.
For sure.
But you have to realize, like we just talked about this, nobody cares anyway.
Nobody freaking cares.
They're not following along to watch you or me fail. You know, they got so much shit on their own plate. Yeah. Like I don't even.
When you take a group picture and you're in it, who's the first person you look at?
Yourself.
Correct. You're not going to look at everybody else and be like, oh, that person didn't smile, or that person, it's like, same thing. It's like, why aren't you, like nobody cares what you're doing. Nobody cares about content specifically if we're backtracking and like creating content. Like, people are going to look for 2 seconds and go to the next one.
Exactly. So you have to like think about that in everything you do, that you're not important. The viewer values themselves more than anything else. And then if you do have people that are naysayers, you can use that as a drive. Like I have like every once in a while you get like a mean comment or some dude talking shit, you know, that actually drives you to do more. Yeah. That's fun.
Because the person that's actually writing that is extremely insecure. Yeah. Like I would never want to do business with them. Like I would never want to hang out with them. So like,
what does it even matter? Like who are these people? Like I was spending too much time. My wife was like, why are you wasting your time responding to these like broke people who are just broken? Like it doesn't even mean broke financially, just mentally broken. Yeah. And she's right, like I'm just wasting time, so I just stopped responding. But if you ever have a piece of content that goes semi-viral or viral, you will notice these people come out of the woodworks to talk shit. Yeah. Because you just reached a whole new set of people than your core audience. Now you've reached non-people who don't follow you. For sure. And whenever you do that, you're gonna get some hate. Yeah. But they're literally behind their phone, super insecure, have nothing going for them, jealous. That's really what it is. Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of times I would see somebody, so for example, like if we're going out to an event and I want to do like selfie video, I used to be like, I'm worried, do I look like an idiot? What's this guy think? What's this dude think? Yeah. And so I wouldn't do it. I'd be like just so self-conscious. Yeah. And then I realized like when I would see other people doing it, I was like, dude, I wish I had the courage to be that person. For sure. When I see someone go on stage and do something like put themselves out there, I wish I was that person. So a lot of times they're not looking at you thinking like you're a dumbass. They're like, dude, I wish I could do that. Yeah. I wish I was, I'm just trying to take notes mentally. Yeah. So I think you just think people are just cynical. They're like, these people are looking at me as thinking a certain way. Yeah. They're actually positive. Yeah, no doubt. And another thing that I was thinking about is like, have you ever had a friend or somebody you've done business with like put a hate comment on your thing or like call you douchebag or anything like that through Instagram? Probably not, because it's not who you're doing associations with. No, it's not your followers, because those are your, even if they don't like it, they won't even tell you. But it's that one comment that just like stops people, especially on the content end. It's like one person will say something and then they're done. But it's just scared of it. Yeah, you'll have like literally hundreds and hundreds of, positive things, and 2 or 3 things will really fuck with you. And I'm telling you, like from personal experience, like the guy who doesn't. He's probably not even real. It's like a troll. I don't even know who they, and I'll be thinking about that comment like for a while. So you have to just get over that shit. Yeah. Another thing that I really like is your tips on finance. Yeah. And as me being like a millennial and like trying to build wealth and figure out like what to do, you've put out a lot of really good content about that. What are your thoughts on like the state of the market right now? Like what should young people be doing with their money? Yeah, I think like we've had amazing run up in real estate. We've had amazing opportunities in the stock and equity market, crypto.
Yeah.
So you see all these different things and you're like, where should I put my cash? And I think now after you see all that, it creates a vulnerability now where like you want this get rich quick thing. Because you saw pandemic created this weird opportunity where stocks cratered and then came back fast. It was V-shaped, right? So that's now a vulnerability because now you want that type of return now. And you can't get it right that second. So I see a lot of people with limited amount of resources trying to find a lottery ticket, right? They're like, I'm gonna find the next NFT project that's gonna 100x. I'm gonna find the next shit crypto coin that's going to 1000x. You might get lucky, but this is literally just gambling. So the best way to get a return, if you are in sales, is to just invest in your brand, your business, because that's going to get you a way bigger return. I did an example, like if I spent $10,000 of media with your company, or if I helped somebody with media, we could leverage that to get at least $100,000 of business in the next 12 months. I know it to be true because I've seen people in my office do it. Myself, I've done it, and I've seen people do it. So now, that's a 100x return. That's 1,000% return. It's a 10x return, but 1,000%. Where can you get that type of return anywhere else? Like it's just insane. The
also
opportunity.
the fulfillment of that, you know, like of actually producing it yourself and investing in yourself, and then
you've created an asset
over the course of 30 years. If you just continue to do that, like that's just going to come.
So this is an investment. So you invest in your ability to make money. Now let's just say somebody's listening or watching, and they're not in sales, they're not watching, they're not in it. Like you can start a thing on the side. No doubt. Whatever your skill set is, even just helping people curate information is a skill. Like start a brand, build some sort of audience or following, monetize that, and that is your ticket to like getting more money. Now you've created an asset that can produce over time and grow in value, but you've also created more money. Now you can have money to invest and not be vulnerable to like one pullback and you're out, you're cleaned out. Or you bought, you were trying to like hit a home run and you struck out and you get zero. So now those things are gonna be like, for me, I love putting money into income producing real estate, not trying to double the property value in a year, but just picking areas that are high growth, that rents are rising, property values are rising, and the numbers make sense. So those properties I think of, like the tenant is going to pay the debt for you over the time. You have to come up with the money down and the numbers have to make sense, but now you have an asset that you can't like outlive. That will always produce income no matter what happens. So I love real estate for the fact that like, that's my retirement. Like once those properties are paid off, the income stream never ends. So you used to think like when you were younger, you need X dollars to retire. We don't know because inflation is going crazy. So now I think the thing is like you need X cash flow to retire. You don't just need cash because cash keeps going down in value. And you need more and more and more. It used to be like, oh, you need $1 million. $1 million ain't gonna cut it. So now they're telling you 4, now they're telling you 6. So when you get to 60 years old, you need like a ridiculous amount of money if you just wanna live off the money. But let's just say you change that goal to, I need $10,000 a month of cash flow. So then I just need to acquire X, 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 and X, where I'm gonna get passive income of at least that forever. And I can't outlive it. So then I'm not worried, am I gonna outspend my money? Like, am I gonna outlive and then I'll run out of cash?
I think where I stand with like the whole investing stuff, it's like you have the crypto category, you have the stocks, you have the real estate, and then you have the business and yourself. It's like the crypto people make you feel bad for not investing in crypto. It's like the stock people, not like, you have the real estate people, and it's like, I'm confused, like what the heck?
Well, I noticed the people that are making the most in stocks and crypto are people who held for long periods of time. The only way you could hold for long periods of time is you didn't need the money. So when you put $10,000 in crypto and then there's a pullback and it goes down to 2, you're actually vulnerable to selling because you're like, fuck, I don't want to lose this whole thing. I'm just going to get out while I still can. And then it takes advantage of you emotionally. So as it's going up, you're like trying to get in, then it crashes, you're trying to get out. So this is why most short-term traders, I think the stat is over 90%, short-term traders lose all their money. You do hear about the success stories, that's because nobody tells you publicly that they lost everything. So the best way to make money in stocks and crypto is just buy what you believe and hold it forever, like long. I mean, they call it like diamond hands now, like just hold your shit. So as I got more resources, get my real estate thing, then I'm like, okay, these are the stocks I believe in for the long term. I'm going to fail statistically as a short-term trader, so I just want to buy stocks and hold them, not even look at it. So I just buy them and hold them. And then crypto, I own Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I just don't really trade it. Just leave it there and let it be, and it's worked out well.
Yeah, that's where I get guilt trip, and I get confused and then spread so thin. I'm like, what do I do? And then I end up just doing a little bit.
Well, like let's just say you're
everywhere,
buying
like,
Bitcoin today at 60,000.
Yeah, 65.
So it's going to go to double that. You need it to go to 100 and some odd. Maybe that's going to happen. But like let's just say you need to double $10,000 in your business, like in terms of business. You can easily do that. Like we did a video the other day on service businesses that are in demand right now and how anybody could start them. Like the one example we used was like a window washing business. Like we Googled it, there was not enough, there's more than enough demand because of all the growth that has happened in certain areas. Like what does it take to start that business? It doesn't take much money to start that business and have people be able to schedule with you online and hire 2 or 3 people and just start small. And how do you get the sales? Like literally printing door hangers and canvassing an area. And now you've created a business that like makes money, and that could even be a side thing to your. So I'm just thinking like people don't see the opportunity in sales, selling a service or a business and making money.
For sure.
And then taking that money and then investing it for the long term. You want to invest first without making the money.
Do you think it's because of like the Instagram microwave culture, like these stock people in front of their Ferraris and the get rich crypto, Forex trading DMs that are like, oh, dude, for sure. Yeah,
it's just everywhere spam. And so now it's just like, there are opportunities. I know guys in my office, I catch them all the time looking at crypto because they're like, oh, I bought this coin. And I almost look at it now as just like, this is like a sports book. These guys are just gambling. And one of them is going to get lucky. And then the guy who gets lucky is going to tell everybody. So everyone gets hyped. And then the other guys who lose their entire account balance, they're just not going to say anything. Nobody's going to say shit about that. So you're only going to hear the winners. I'm on Twitter. You would think everybody's winning because nobody's telling you what they lost. Like Gary Vee even said it recently with NFTs. Dude, I accidentally made $50,000 on an NFT. I bought an NFT, and then NFTs are hot right now. I listed it for sale on OpenSea, which is the platform. I didn't know what I was doing. I forgot to set a reserve price, and it just sold. And I made $50,000 of Ethereum. I didn't mean to, so I just did that on accident. But that's how it tells you how hot the market is. Like you could literally throw a dart and maybe hit. How much did it cost for the NFT? I spent like $1,200 on it, and it sold. How does the NFT work? I don't really understand it. So it's a non-fungible token. It's a digital asset. It's art, collectibles. So how do they gain so much value? Because NFTs have exploded in value. People are just buying them. Like it's like a market that's
kind of like a Bitcoin or a coin.
Yeah, it's just it's just red hot right now. It's an
asset.
It's an asset
like a digital asset.
Yes. So, and sometimes it's tied to access, sometimes it's tied to experience, sometimes it's tied to a creator. Certain projects are doing really well, other ones won't. So now there's all this flood of new NFT projects. And you hear these guys who bought one for like $100 and then it's worth $10,000. And it's like, oh shit, I want to get in. So it's a personal NFT though. Like Austin has NFTs. You could you could mint an NFT collection. You could tie it to your business somehow. You could be like, yo, I'm selling Braintegic NFTs. Part of it is that you can have access to Austin and shooting content with Austin. And now if I buy that NFT, I believe in you and I believe in the project. And what if I think that your value is going to rise? So I think Austin's on the come up. I know in 5 years, he's going to be an influencer. What would the time be worth with Austin? So now I have like a ticket to you plus your project. So I'm going to hold that shit because I believe in it long term, right? So
the people that buy it, they have.
There's some, so influencers are creating NFTs.
Like you can text me or.
Yeah, so like for example, another access of Gary Vee was like he launched an NFT project. Let's say you want to get in front of a Gary Vee. Part of the NFTs was you could get access to him. The one I had 3 FaceTimes with him. Once a year for the next 3 years. It says 5 minutes, as we know, he'd probably go longer, but like, that's cool. You want FaceTime with Gary Vee every year? You could have bought it for like literally $1,000 just recently. Who missed that opportunity? You know, like you have to be watching and be like, oh, here's an access point. So entrepreneurs and influencers use access. Other people, it's just literally art projects and they're creating them and whatever. It's the same reason why other digital art is worth something or collectible is worth something. So you believe the value is going to go up. So stat came out recently that said like 95% of these projects are going to go to zero. So you're gambling. There's going to be some winners. Majority are not going to do well because there's just a flood of projects.
You just said yesterday that we're talking about, Didn't he sell an NFT for like $1.8 million?
Yeah, it's insane. So we had a guy who made almost $2 million in 4 months.
From NFT?
NFT.
What did he buy?
So he bought projects that went up, and then he also did something called staking, which I don't even understand. But basically he, leverages his NFT holdings to have people trade with that money. And then as a result, the platform pays him money. So it's like so complicated that I didn't follow. Yeah. But I was like, there's a lot of money being made in this space. And you could get shiny object syndrome and be like, yo, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit like this business and go look at this. Yeah. What if that shit dies down, right? 100%. And it will, right? Now you've like taken your eye off the ball, like, you know what I mean? So I pay attention to this stuff, but like, if you don't have the real money to invest, let's focus on the first problem, which is you don't have enough money coming into you, the individually, every month. Yeah. Let's fix that, and then you'll have money to properly invest. Yeah. For long term, you're not going to be like shook out on one pullback. For sure. Focus on one thing, build that up. Don't be like diversifying when you're just kind of getting by. Yeah, same thing with content. Like you put out content, go narrow in the beginning. Yeah. I speak to one thing, here's why you should follow me. As you build an audience, you broaden it out. You could talk about many different things. Like it's the same concept with investing, I think. Yeah, interesting. Huh. All right, Neel, thanks for coming on, man. Yeah. Where can people find you if they want to get in your circle? Maybe we can plug the content day too. Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Neel Home. I'm on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever you want. Go to at Neel Home. And then also for those who are interested in kind of fast tracking the content creation, once a quarter, I bring in 10 people to my office. We call it Neel's Content Day. So Neel with 2 E's, neelscontentday.com. You can check it out and learn more about that offering too. Do you have any NFTs that we can buy yet? I don't have any NFTs, man. I should create NFTs, but I haven't gotten into it. How do you create an NFT? I don't know. You make art and then you mint it on this platform. It's like, I need to learn more about this, but I figured if I started learning more about this, I'll abandon something else I'm doing. So it's like I have to pick my pick my project. But we should learn for sure. Yeah. We should bring an NFT guy expert on this and do that. That'd be a good idea. Because I'm pretty green, so it'd be some good questions. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. All right, bro. Thanks, man. Thank you.